Hi, Alicia. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. So we're gonna get started. We don't want to waste too much time. We don't want to waste anybody who's not here can always catch up the streaming. And then we're just gonna go straight to inviting you to Power to Know and telling us what we are, what we're about. And then we will hand over the reins to our amazing speaker today. So can you hear me, everybody? I think my computer has decided to be the one who's in charge of me today, rather the other way around. Can you hear me at all? Yes, you can hear. Thank you very much. That's amazing. I'm just gonna go straight on.
Are you ready to transform your wealth and take control of your financial future? Welcome to Power to Know, the ultimate destination for comprehensive financial and life coaching. Our mission is simple yet powerful: to help you build wealth-balanced portfolios and minimize risks using science-based investing methods and personalized coaching. In today's ever-changing financial landscape, personal development is more crucial than ever. That's why we're here to equip you with the skills you need to thrive. At Power to Know, we offer a range of services, including digital asset management, to ensure a diversified and future-focused approach to your investments. The future of digital ownership is here. But what does it mean for you? Digital assets like music, art, and even virtual real estate are gaining real-world value. Blockchain technology ensures each asset is unique, secure, and verifiable. What sets us apart? You are at the center of our strategies. We recognize that each individual is unique, and we tailor our coaching to meet your specific needs and goals, whether you're looking to build wealth, enhance your career, or navigate life transitions. Our team of expert coaches is here to guide and support you. Accountability is a cornerstone of our methodology. We believe that setting goals is just the beginning. Our goal-oriented approach ensures that you not only establish your objectives, but also make concrete progress toward achieving them. Everyone has the potential to achieve greatness. With our guidance and support, you will gain the confidence and skills needed to take control of your financial future and live the life you deserve. Join us on this life-changing journey. Discover the power of skill building, accountability, action planning, goal setting, and feedback and reflection. With Power to Know, your financial independence is within reach. Thank you for choosing Power to Know. Together, let's build a brighter, wealthier future.
So thank you very much, everybody. Let me check if our coach is ready, and let me see if he's ready to take us on. Coach Ikechi, are you ready for us today? I'm hungry.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
starving. I'm so starving that I cannot wait to do. But before we start, I need to tell you a few things about this amazing Texan. Yeah, I'll call him Texan. I'm not sure if he's going to allow me to say that,
You're a
but
Texan
this is.
too now, sir.
So I'll just tell you a little bit about this amazing Texan. And like you all see, his name is Coach Kechi Kazu. He is a personal finance educator and a wellness enthusiast. See, trust me, if you follow him on Instagram, you will see him in the gym and he's doing some things I don't think I can ever be able to do. That one I can guarantee you that. And dedicated to improving financial well-being. He studied at the University of Houston with specialization in finance, and he received a certification in financial coaching from the University of New Mexico with well over 10 years of experience in the financial service industry. And ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome, could you welcome with me? Can you please give a round of applause as we welcome Coach Ikechi Ukazu. Coach,
Awesome.
the floor is yours. How are you
Thank you
today?
so I'm doing very well, sir. Thank you so much. Awesome. So let me go ahead and make sure I'm sharing my screen and make sure you can see it. All right. All right. Can you all see the screen now?
Absolutely loud and clear.
Great. Perfect. Perfect. So I am so excited to be here. Thank you all for having me, Coach Mo. It's been such a pleasure knowing you. And you're an honorary Texan now, so we invite you to our to our state. You wear the shirts and everything, so we love having you here, sir.
Thank you
Awesome.
very much, sir. So I'm
All
going to
right.
be reading,
So
give the floor to you right now.
of course, of course. So thank you all for joining. This is going to be an eye-opening workshop where we're talking about future-proofing your finances. And of course, we know what the future and has for us. There's a lot of things we have in store for our future, but you want to make sure that you're planning for it now because those who fail to plan to fail. Right. So I want to make sure we talk about this. Of course, thank you to Dr. Coach Mo having me here. And also I'm excited to get started. If there's any questions throughout, please let me know. Because I want to make sure as a speaker that I'm speaking to you all, but also that you have this understanding of what I'm talking about as well. So if there's anything in the chat, just let me know. And then Coach Mo and also the other moderators, you can interrupt me if there's anything that the audience is asking as well. Okay. So today's agenda, we'll be focusing on, of course, planning for your future. And I'll be introducing something that we call the VACE method, which is making sure you have a strategy for making sure your future is in line with what you want. Also, number two, defining what your retirement number or your financial independent number. That's going to be very important because you have to know exactly what you're setting yourself up for the future. The numbers you need to have, how much you need to have saved up for retirement, how much you need to save up for medical expenses, things like that. It's going to be very important to know. Number three, choosing your investments and strategies. Of course, I'm based here in the US, so a lot of it we focus on some of the US strategies, but if there's any questions, we can make sure that we have a tailored or a generic approach for everyone to take home and to get started. And then number four, making sure we have those strategies be tax efficient. So of course, as you're gaining money and as your money is growing, there's going to be things called taxes that'll make sure that'll take money away from you. Of course, the government wants its piece. So I want to make sure we're being very smart with how we're growing our money. So we're hitting our future in line with what we want today. All right. If there's any questions, let me know. I'll make sure I'm looking at the chat as well. Yes, we can. Awesome. Okay, great. So let's get started here. All right. So as we get started, and the Coach Mo is also great as this as well. We'll be talking about investments today. So anything that I talk about or Coach Mo talks about, it'll be considered financial education, not necessarily financial education, not necessarily advice. So especially when it comes to investments or anything with risk, make sure you do your own research and ask questions. Make sure it's in line with what's right for you because you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that it's set up for your future. So continue to do education, continue to study, make sure it's right for you. Yes, thank you, thank you. Not financial advice. Thank you for putting that there. I think that's faith. All right, so getting started, creating your personal financial plan. And like I said in the very first part of this entire presentation, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So this is going to be how to make up your entire financial plan. And the first thing I want to talk about is the VACE method. It's something you can all write down, also put inside the chat. The VACE method is made of 4 steps. First of all, having a vision for your future, knowing where you're trying to go. If you have no idea where you're trying to go, the likelihood of you getting there is very minimal. Okay. So of course, I think the word of God also says that those without a vision will perish. So we're going to make sure you have a vision for your future. You know exactly what that looks like. Number 2, having an assessment of where you currently are. It's just like being on a map. You know exactly where you are currently, so you know exactly where you're going to be going. Number 3, having a strategy. I know working with Coach Mo, he's great at crafting strategies for his clients, and same thing with me, and same thing for yourself as well. But once you know where you are and knowing where you're going to, and the step number 2, having a strategy is going to be very important. And number 4, having your execution. Okay. Any questions on that? So number one, what is your financial vision? I love this part of the presentation because I want to make sure that we're asking you or thinking about the questions of what you want in your future. If you do not have a clear future, a clear vision for your future, it's going to be very hazy and it's going to be very hard for you to try to build that future or create that future. So a couple of questions that you could be asking is, what will I need in the future? How much money do I need when I want to stop working? What is ideal for me? Am I planning for medical expenses? And also, am I planning for things like inflation? Things we'll be talking about as well. Okay. And at what age will I need to plan for? Okay. Now I can ask inside the chat, how many of you have started to plan for your future as far as how much money you need in the future? You can start putting that inside the chat. Okay, so big thing that you'll be having to plan for is what age will you start to retire? And of course, if you haven't heard of something called the FIRE movement, retiring early, financial independent, retiring early, so you can always make sure that you are, whenever you want to get to that point, whether it be at the age 40, age 50, age 60, you can start planning for that today. Yes, the FIRE movement. Okay, she knows, she knows. And also, I do want to say as well, I'm a very communicative speaker. I want to engage with you as well. So if you have any questions, you can also speak inside the chat so we have a community here. Because the more that you're able to engage with it and have a conversation about it, the more you're going to retain. So feel free to not be silent and be vocal so we can start the conversations about our financial future. All right. So number one, making sure you have your financial future, very important. So what I want you to start doing is to ask the questions of what you're going to need in the future. Okay. Now, what I want to see here too, and I'm going to directly ask you guys a question as well. I know we have Faith and we have Bloomy as well, but what other questions can you ask for your financial future, for your vision? What else do you think you will need? We talked about medical expenses. We talked about money. What else? Living expenses. You can put inside the chat. And if not, I'll keep going. Education, yes, good, good. How can I plan for a Black Swan Black Swan event? That's good. That's good. So planning for events, that's great. Let's keep going. Any other ideas about your future? What else can you put in the future? Right? So it's not just going to be, of course, childcare. Good, right? So you're going to be thinking of not just eating, it's going to be medical expenses, but also things like taking care of children, events, having a life, right? So the more you're able to think about those things in the future, the more you can plan for it right now. Okay, good. All right, so common answer is $80,000 per year. Some numbers people might want to retire off of, having their travel covered, so you can be traveling as well, to stop working at 55, and then possibly having your medical expenses covered. Right now, on average in the US, medical expenses when you get to the age 65 are about $13,000 a year. So if you're not planning for these things right now, own this. Great, great. That may be my friend Sam. Right. So if you're not planning for these things right now, it'll be a very uncomfortable awakening in the future. But this is what I'm here for. We want to make sure we're planning for the future. So we're building the wealth assets right now, so we're ready for when that day comes. We're taking care of medical expenses. We're taking care of travel. We're taking care of how much money we need. These are very important questions to ask. And I love that question. Yes, owning your own house. I believe, Sam, this may be, yes, my friend Sam. That's great. All right, number two, assessing your current situation. So just like you're looking to the future and assessing your situation, what you need in the future as far as your medical expenses, childcare, traveling, owning your house, replacing dollars with pounds if you're in UK, right? Also assessing your situation now. If you're not in that situation, I want to make sure you're very careful here too, because you may not have those resources. And of course, looking to the future, it may seem like it's very far, a million miles away, if you will. But asking your questions now so you can see exactly what's going on, be very honest with yourself. What should you know? Are you currently in debt? How much debt do you currently have? Number two, how much do you have saved? Do you have an emergency savings fund? Number three, what kind of investments do you have? Those are the three components I want you to consider because you have to take stock of your resources to know if you can make it on that journey. All right. So number one, speaking about the vision. Number two, assessing your situation. All right. Number three, making sure that you have a strategy. This is where you start to work with coaches like myself and also Coach Mo to develop that strategy. You can always do your research online and read books, but of course, with experts like myself and Coach Mo, it there's a lot of things to research and look into online. So having someone to create that strategy for you is very important for you. But this is how you're going to reach that goal in step number 3, modifying your financial behaviors, right? So if you find yourself overspending, how are you going to change that so you're on track with what you're doing in the future? Number 2, giving every single dollar a purpose. Can you say right now that every single dollar that you spend is going to help you get to where you want to go? And then if not, you might want to start to put in things like budgeting strategies. That is a real question. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Right. So budgeting strategies, and I can make sure I talk about this, but of course there's a lot of information I'll go over today. But I'll make sure I do, yeah, giving every single dollar a purpose. Yeah, right. And also, because we're talking about what we're doing in the future, how we're gonna get to our future vision, knowing your savings rate, how much you need to save to get there, how many dollars you have to put aside every single month to make sure you establish that emergency savings fund by next year. How much money should you invest on a monthly basis to get to where you want in the future, whether it be $10,000, $100,000, or whatever it is, earn pounds, right? Whatever it is, to make sure you are investing for that, right? And also make sure I include pounds as well, all right? And then, of course, making sure you effectively pay down debt. If you are in debt, it's going to be really, really hard to build wealth. And if you have any questions about that, this is where I want you to start to speak to a coach like Coach Mo or like myself to make sure you develop a plan to get rid of debt. Because once you get that debt out of the way, that'll be like almost like shackles you can take off your feet so you can start running your race towards financial freedom or financial independence. All right. And of course, inspiration is not enough. So we can educate you, but you have to make sure you implement the strategy. So there are different podcasts, different things you can read. I'll talk about some books at the very end. But let me know if there's any questions. If there's any questions for me right now, let me know. But I also want to know, what kind of books are you guys reading? What kind of podcasts, what kind of educational content are you consuming right now? Of course, I know you're watching Coach Mo, you're watching Power to Know, so you're doing a good job starting these conversations. But what else are you watching? What else are you listening to? What books are you reading? And as you guys are thinking about that, I'll go over this part again. So making sure you modify your financial behaviors. One thing I've talked about with on some of my content when it comes to YouTube and Instagram is making sure we deal with how we treat money, right? So if you feel like you always have to spend, how can we have a conversation about that? What's the real issue? What is the FIRE movement? I love that question, right? So how can we deal with these behaviors to make sure you're behaving in a way that will set you up for success in the future? So what is the FIRE movement? That is a great question, Faith. The FIRE movement is an acronym that stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. Okay, so of course, the standard and the most conventional way of retirement is thinking about retiring at the age of, when you get into your older years, 70, 75, 80, right? But if you're able to make the controls right now to retire early and not have to think about, not waiting to that age where you're barely able to walk, then why not go for that? So the FIRE movement is a way, and I know you, Faith, you probably have the answer as well, is a way you take control of what you have right now to get to retirement as quickly as possible. You have some people that are retiring at 36, retiring at age 40, retiring at age 50, right? The sky's the limit. So what you do, what these guys in the FIRE movement are taking these strategies and implementing them right now to make a difference in their future. All right, did I answer your question? We can't. I love that. I love that. These are great. Yes, yes, yes. So we can't wait until 70 or 80 to retire, right? That's really the conventional way of living, right? A lot of people were saying, okay, you have to wait till you have all that money till you don't have to work anymore. And then basically you have to work for other people. What if you don't want to do that? You can start taking these strategies right now, implementing them right now to take control of your future and have financial independence as quickly as possible, is what we want for you all. What we want for you all as well. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And then number 4, execution. This is going to be the big part. So we talked about some of the strategies. per share. It's 70. Accountability, which I'll make sure I talk more about that inside the next slide. Accountability. Number two, the 70-30 rule. This is a great way to set up your finances. So out of every dollar or every pound that you get, making sure it goes to three people, three different ways first. Number one, giving it to God through tithing. Number two, making sure you set aside 10% for savings. Number three, 10% for investing. That ensures that you're taking care of course, giving, but also making sure that you're setting yourself up for future with every single dollar or pound that you get. If there's any questions, you can let me know there. And then also number three on execution is having a weekly financial review. If you're not looking at your finances on a weekly or a monthly basis, you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to know what's going on. You have to know if you're on track or off track. And if you're off track, you can make sure you're making these adjustments, right? So having a weekly financial review is going to be very important for your execution. And of course, like I said, just staying on track, right? But the big thing about execution, you have the strategy, you're excited about moving forward, but if you do not have that accountability to your plan, then it's just going to be a wish. So accountability is going to make sure we execute our goals and make sure we achieve our goals. And then more about accountability. There are two main ways I want to talk about accountability. Number two, accountability to your goals. One thing I want to make sure we all do, if you have any big takeaways from this is going to be one of them. Put your goals in a place that you can always see them, especially if they're financial goals, right? No matter what it is, I want you to continue to think about it, put it in a place where you can consistently see that. And then number two, this is where you talk about strategies, working with someone like Coach Mo or myself to sit down and have that person to hold you accountable and to say, okay, we can make some adjustments in this plan or this part of the plan or this stage in the strategy. That's going to be very important. But what I want to do is just go back a little bit just so we can recap. So of course, with the strategy, we talked about modifying financial behaviors, giving every single dollar a purpose, budgeting, saving, investing. So it's really important to set the strategies, but of course, you want to make sure you're also holding yourself accountable to those strategies as well. Okay. Are there any questions right now? Any questions? I see Power to Know. I see Abu and me asking questions. What anyone else? We see Sam asking questions. Great. And also input, also engaging as well. Any questions? Okay. All right, let's keep going. All right. So what we're going to do in this section is define your financial independence. It's going to be very important. And I'll read this quote by Jackie Joyner Kersee. It's better to look ahead and prepare than to look back and regret. I'll just let that sink in a little bit. We talked about our vision in the first part of this section, in the first part of my presentation, but now we have to define exactly what it is and prepare for it. We talked about the strategies, but we want to make sure we define what financial independence is for me. And of course, Coach Mo, let me know how I'm doing on time. I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep speaking until you stop me, sir. So I think we're good. This is going to be very important. So of course, I want you all to be taking notes, but defining what your financial dependence is going to be very important. Okay. So what is your financial independence or your retirement number? Okay. And there's four things you have to know. Number one, what is your desired annual income? Just define what it is. What is comfortable for you? All right. Do you want to retire on Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Do you want to retire on 50? And I might be wrong with the amount, the estimations, right? 60,000 pounds a year. I don't know if that's that's a good amount. I don't live in the UK. But if it's at $75,000 a year when you get to the point where you don't have to work anymore. Whatever it is, define it. And also I want you to think about, yes, 60. Okay, great. I'm on base. Thank you. So defining what that number is for you is going to be very important. And also, like I said, considering things like medical expenses. In America, it's $13,000 a year until you get to from the age 65 to 74, and then it jumps up to $24,000 a year. I think in pounds, they may be somewhere around 20,000, 18,000, $20,000. Sorry, 18 to 20,000 pounds a year. So that's going to be quite a bit of money. So we have to make sure you factor that into your desired annual income. Number two, this is something people don't talk about, your future value of your annual income, taking into account something called inflation. Because if you're just planning for all the fun stuff, but also you're not realizing the cost of goods is going to go up every single year like it has, like it has been happening here in America and also globally as well, you're going to have a very rude awakening once you get to that, future time and you have that money in your account, but then it's not enough because the cost of goods have gone up. Are we thinking about that? Number three, multiplying that number by 25, and that number is going to be your retirement number. What that number 25 is called the 4% rule. Okay, and I'll quickly explain it. That means that once you have that amount inside your account, if you take 4% of that, which is going to be your annual income, I'll make sure I put that here, your annual income, you can continue. Yes, I'll make sure I describe that. You can make sure that money will not run out because the money is going to be investing in itself and still generating enough money. So with that, and also goes with the FIRE method, the money will not run out because it's going to be continually investing and generating more income. So the 4% rule is, like I said, you want to make sure you get that retirement number, that financial independence number, but also you can take 4% of that, which is going to be your annual income. I'll give you an example in a little bit. So it'll never run out. Okay. Any other questions? Did I answer that question for right now? Wait. Yes, quickly touch on inflation. Yes. So and that's the thing with this workshop, is going to be some higher level concepts, and let me know if this is touching for our audience, but we have to elevate ourselves to these things, right? These people who are at this level, they know this stuff. And if we don't have this kind of information, then we're setting ourselves up for not the future that we want. Here's what I want to say as well. Another inspiring quote. What I want you all to know is that your present situation is not your final destination. Your best is yet to come. So wherever you are, and I'm also going to talk as a child of God, as a son of God. With God, all things are possible, right? And you also work with God. You work with people who have strategies and people able to work with you to develop the ways to get to where you have to go. So just realize that where you are right now is not going to be finally where you get to go. Okay. You have to continue to believe and think there are different ways to get to where you need to go. Okay. All right. So here's an example. So say I wanted to have $70,000 a year at the age 50, in 15 years. Okay. I would use something called I have to make sure I get the future value of that, what that's going to be now, what I have to make sure I'm planning for, right? So I would use something called the future flat inflation calculator, using something with 3% inflation. Let's make sure we talk about that. I make sure I'm not going too fast. So let's go back here. I'm not giving you too much information. So inflation, like I said, inflation is going to be the cost of goods rising in the future, right? So we know that, say, a Big Mac is not what it cost back in 1990. It's a lot more expensive. So this is what you're also planning for when it comes to inflation. And then what we're going to use is the default rate of inflation at 3%. Okay. So let me give you guys this example again. Let's make sure we have that explanation. So say you want to have $70,000 a year, or 70,000 pounds at the age 50 in 15 years. Okay. You would use something called a Ford flat inflation calculator. You can make sure you write that down, Ford flat inflation calculator. Just take that $70,000. I'm sorry. Ooh, and it's the numbers are a little bit off, but say in 25 years, and then do it at 3%, and then your future value of that will be $146,564.46. Okay. And we'll change that again to 25 years. But you want to make sure you multiply that $146,000 by 25, and then your goal is going to be 3 million. Okay. Are there any questions about how I got that number? Right. Sounds like you guys know this information, which is great. I think you have a very smart crew. You have a very smart crew. How do you get that number? Yes, sweating. How to get that number? This is great. All right, let's do this one more time. And also, one thing I want you to make sure. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love this. I loved it. Towson, thank you for participating. I'll talk about it again. All right. And one thing that needs to change in this explanation is that 15 years. So you want to have 70,000 pounds or $70,000 at age 50, and say in 25 years. Okay. You can use something called a Ford flat inflation calculator. You can always look that up online to basically see how much that would be in present. What would you need how much that $70,000 would be in 25 years, how much that would be, right? Okay. And what you do, you put all those inputs. You take $70,000 25 years from now, 3%, and that basically $70,000 in 25 years would be equal to 146,000. Does that make sense? Again, this is why you may need a coach or someone, because right, it's very important to know the information, because we work with this information a lot. All right. And what you do, multiply that number by 25, and that's going to be your goal. What I want you to do not let that number scare you. I will show you how it's possible. But of course, it's going to take work, but I will show you how that's possible. Okay, good. Oh, yes. I love that answer. Scary. Oh, it's going to be a wake-up call. It's going to be a wake-up call, right? Some people might even take this number, the $70,000, and just plan for just $70,000 by 25 without thinking about inflation, the cost of goods. So imagine if you were planning, I'll go over here so it's not so much information. Imagine if you were just planning to have $70,000 a year, knowing that you actually need $150,000 a year. And I love what Bumi is saying. We should have known about this 5 years ago. This is why we're having this conversation. And again, I was saying, thank you so much, Coach Mel. We're almost to the end of this, but this is the information we need to be talking about, right? And now that you're getting exposed to this information, then it's going to be up for you to see what you can do to implement it, to put it in execution, to strategize and execute. Okay, good. Let's keep going. All right, so how do we get there? And here's what I'm going to say here. Here again, I'm going to go back here. Your present situation is not your financial. It's not your final destination. The best is yet to come. Meaning, I want you to focus on starting what you have right now and then working on improving yourself so you can do more in the future. Just like a baby, you have to learn how to. Go ahead, sir. Okay. Just like a baby, you have to learn how to crawl, and then you can walk, and then you can run. Do what you can right now and get better over time, and then things will be possible as you continue to go on. Okay, here we go here. Talk about questions. Okay. So I don't want to get too technical here, but two things I want to make sure you get is the forward flat inflation calculator, and then also you can use a compound interest calculator to know what you have to do to get there. So very quickly in this example, right, this is how I would get to that $3 million, $3.6 million, right? Just so you know what's going on, what you would have to do, right? So I would simulate our investments with 10% right here. This is the 25 years you see before. And then what it's saying is that on a monthly basis, again, not to scare you, I think somebody said that we're scared, that you would have to put aside about $2,700 a month in order to get to that $3 million. Okay. Now, here's what I want to say. We may not have that amount right now. That is okay. Of course, speaking with myself and Coach Mo, you can always do things right now to improve the amount of value that you're adding, so you're able to get more money and able to get closer to that goal. So this is what we're gonna get to in the future, but I want to show you where we can start at right now today. Okay, good. So what I want us to focus on is starting where we are, even if it's just $50 a month. I know I show you some big numbers, millions, all those sort of things. But if you can start right now what you have, then you can get there in the future as you continue to grow and as you continue to improve your skill, your probability of increasing income. So even with $50 a month, I'll show you what that would do. So same example, say you had $100 inside the bank, you invest $50 a month. 5 years from now, you would have about $4,000. Okay. Anyone following? Any questions on this? You guys are eating so much. I think you're okay. Good. You guys are eating so much now. Now your stomachs are full. That's good. All right. So say in 10 years, and this if you keep that same $50 a month, now you have $10,000. And as you can see on this chart, your money is growing for you faster and faster as you keep growing, as you keep going along. Yeah. Oh, she's excited. Love it. And Boomy, I believe you're on the Power to Know team. I want to make sure I have that. But Boomy, I appreciate you and your engagement. And also, Sam, I saw you also engaging as well. So if you have any questions, you guys make sure you are also participating, putting your comments, feedback as well. So in 25 years, with that same $50, now we're looking at about $67,000. Okay. This is the power of having your money work for you as hard as you're working for it. Thank you, Jumi. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Even just putting that lets me know I'm connecting with you guys. I want to make sure as I'm talking to you that it's not something I'm just saying. I never want to be one of those speakers that just giving information. I want to make sure you're also retaining it and making sure it's useful for you. Good. So if you change that, yes, making it real. Thank you, thank you. So change that $50 to $100 for 25 years. Now we're getting a little bit bigger. So as opposed to, let me see here, as opposed to $67,000 a year, or $67,000, it's now 133, almost double. Okay. Now let's make this really fun. A lot of people are are joining in now, which is great. Oh, let me see. That seems to be, and that's what we have right there. So this is what you can start off with, right? So we started with $50. And there's also some bigger examples where I can show you in another presentation where we can see how we can get to the $1,000,000. But basically, even from jumping from $50 to $100, there's a big increase. And what you're able to do, again, it's just like going to the gym, just like Coach Mo talked about with me earlier. You start off where you are, you're not able to lift those weights, right? But then you start to add more. You start to add more a little bit, start to save a little bit more, start to invest a little bit more, even if it's a dollar more on a month by month basis, that's going to get you a lot closer than by not doing anything. So the big encouragement I have for you all, the big encouragement I have for you is start from where you are, but then continually push yourself to do just one more dollar. Then it's two more dollars, or 2 more pounds, 3 more pounds, 4 more pounds, 5 more pounds on a month-to-month basis. Continue to push yourself and see what you're able to do. And also, once you see that money growing for you, then you can start to be excited by the results that is yielding you. Paying up attention. Love it. Ruth, yes, we have some people talking in there. Sam is with me. We have Ruth with me as well. We have June me. Love it. Love it. Okay, great. Okay. So, and this will be the last, getting to the end of our presentation, getting to the actual investments. I know I talked about inside the Instagram reel that I mentioned. Thank you, Emmanuel. Oh, yes. Okay, now people talking. Okay, that's great. I love it. You have a great group, Coach Mo. So limiting your taxability or your tax liability. One thing I want to say about this part is that if there's any sort of tax information that you need, you can always see a tax professional for more specialized tax guidance. Okay. So two things about this I want to make sure we focus on is choosing your investment vehicles and then choosing your investments. And I know it sounds complicated, but the way that I'm going to explain it is going to be very simple, right? And of course, it's going to be from a US perspective because I am here in the US, but I know there are probably equivalents in the UK and also in Nigeria that may also want to talk about as well in the future. Okay. Disclosures, I do want to say with any sort of investment, it does involve risk, but of course, anything involves risk. You should note that past performance is not a guarantee of future returns. Investment values may be affected by market fluctuations. All that to say is that we know that any sort of investments, right, you can't guarantee future performance. But what you can say, if you study it enough, like I want you to do anyway, if you study enough what you're doing with your investments, you can make sure you're choosing the right opportunities for you. Okay, just like saving or anything you're doing that involves some sort of risk. There's not, you can't guarantee that a bank won't shut down, right? You can't guarantee that your car is not going to work, right? So anything does involve risk. But what you're able to do, knowing that there's risk, the more you're able to study it and know how the markets are working, then you know how it's going to work for you instead of working against you. If that makes any sense. Yeah. So very basic. And of course, I know that Coach Mo is very proficient when it comes to digital assets. If I want to come up from a very simplistic way, and I'll make sure you guys also get this book as well, so you can start from where you are as well. So There's a book I also want you to look into called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Make sure you write that down. It's a very simple book. The story behind this book is that a father, he retired early and he wrote this book to his daughter explaining her exactly how to build wealth. And so he wrote it in very simplistic ways to make sure she was able to understand it, because I know when it comes to investing, it could be something that's very complicated. Sometimes people make it complicated on purpose, but it does not have to be complicated. So check out this book. It's a great way to get started, to know what you're able to do. If you're able to read this book, it'll change the way you think about investing, and it'll make what's very complicated very simple. All right. So in the US, we have something called the S&P 500, which is the largest 500 the largest companies in America today, the 500 largest companies in America today. And so you can invest in something like that to make sure you just keep your investing simple. But of course, I want you to keep open to other opportunities, digital assets. I know we're talking about blockchain. We are talking about, things like Bitcoin, right? So, but these are just really simple things just to at least get in the game. Okay. And I don't know if you know this guy, Warren Buffett. Let me know if you know. Okay. Yes, I love Faith is doing amazing in the chat there. Warren Buffett is an amazing person. Oracle. I love these comments. These are great. These are great. Warren Buffett, so you guys know who that is. Says the best way to own common stocks is through an index fund. So basically, like I said, and just like the book said, if you're just trying to get started in the game, you can get through it through the S&P 500, which is the largest 500 largest companies in America today. It's an easy way just to get started in it. And then, of course, you can start to run some of those calculations I talked about earlier. Okay. Any questions for me right now? You can take screenshots, whatever you need to do, but this is a great way just to get started. So what he's basically saying here, yes, what he's basically saying is that you can do something like even the S&P 500, and that's an easy way to get access into the market without having to choose individual stocks or individual investments, which becomes a lot more complicated, right? So I'll show you guys exactly how to do it as well. Okay. So, and then on average, 8 to 12%, and I'll go back here just to show you. So the S&P 500 is averaging out anywhere between 8 to 12%. Okay. So let me go way back here to show you where I got this. This is where I got that 10% from, right in the middle. Okay. So now you can do your calculations. Okay. Awesome. And if there's any questions, make sure you have your questions at the very end so you can ask me. Great. I love that. You can ask your questions to me at the very end, and also to Coach Mo. Okay. So very basic investments vehicles, Roth IRAs. And of course, just for time's sake, I didn't want to get too much into it because I already gave you guys a lot of information. A Roth IRA is an investment vehicle where money grows tax-free and it comes out completely tax-free. If you're owning a business, a lot of business owners aren't even talking about the kind of accounts they need to have. A SEP IRA, that one grows tax deferred and then it gets taxed in retirement. Okay. These are ways that you can limit how much money you're having to give to your government. Okay. All right. So we are rounding down in the presentation, but here are 3 books I want you to take and also read. These are 3 books that'll change your financial perspective. The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm sure Coach Mo knows all of these books, right? The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clausen. It's basically a big wisdom book. Number 2, like I said, Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And number 3, Think and Grow Rich. One thing I want to make sure you guys are able to know is that the more you know, the more you're able to do. And the more you apply that knowledge, the more you're able to make a difference in your financial future. Okay. All right. Let me go over everything I talked about before we get to the very end. I think one of the biggest highlights in this meeting, let me go back here, is knowing what your financial vision is. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to start thinking about this stuff now so it doesn't catch you off guard. Ask yourself all the questions. What am I going to need in the future? Am I going to have to be traveling? Do I want to do travel trips every year? Right? Ask yourself these questions. Am I thinking about medical expenses? Am I thinking about inflation? ask yourself these questions right now so you don't have to ask yourself or struggle with those questions in the future. So what I implore you guys to do, what I encourage you guys to do from this presentation, take time to reflect on what you want in your future. That's one of the biggest things you can do. Really define it, really get really clear about what it is. And then you can read these books and start to ask myself and Coach Mo about strategies to get there. Okay. And of course, going back over to the VACE method, which is actually one of the biggest things that I want to take away from this presentation to you all. Vision, assessment, strategy, and execution. And once you do that, start working with myself and Coach Mo, you'll be able to have a lot more chance for your success in the future. Okay. That's all I have. Let me go to the very end. If there's any questions, you can ask us now. But that is everything we have. I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure working with you all. What I want to stay connected because I love having these conversations, but I never want it to be the end of a conversation. If I'm meeting someone, I want to make sure I'm adding a new friend, right? So you guys can connect with me. You can send me an email. You can connect me on Instagram, ikechi.thepfe, TikTok, same thing, ikechi.thepfe. But the main thing is just having the conversation, communication, because one thing that I've learned from studying this for many, many years, just like Coach Mo, there's a lot of things to know. You may not all get it in this one time. I know we talked about some very technical things, right? So that's why we have this information so we can be a resource for you so you can continue to grow. All right. So that being said, I am done with my presentation. Coach Mo, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. It seemed like your group was able to connect with some of it. Yes. Oh, thank you also for putting that there. So I want to make sure I'm connecting with you all as well. And I do want to say real quickly, as a man of God, this is something I love to do to connect with people. This means so much to me. So thank you again, Coach Mo, for this opportunity.
Thank you very, very much, Coach Casey. What we're going to do there is I've got some things to. First of all, everyone, please can we put our hands together and say big thank you. This has been, sometimes it's not the volume of what is said or how long it takes, it's the quality of the information. And the information is something which tells you got to start now. You got to think about the future. However, for you to get to the future, you've got to first put the location. See, if you're going to if you're going somewhere in a sat nav, it's going to ask you to put in the destination. That is your future of where you're going to. But most importantly, it does not mean it now locates where you are. That means it starts from where you are to take you to where you're going to. So as much as you're looking to get into the future, you want to go into the future, you want to live this life you're dreaming of, Barbados, wherever you're dreaming of, you got to now come back and say, let me start. Where am I? What's the current situation? What is the status quo? He took us to that. He took us to those calculations that I was thinking, a lot help us. How are we going to get to those six figures? But everything is possible. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is now. So everyone, please, can we say a big thank you to Coach Ikechi? Thank you so, so, so much. So I guess one thing I want you and I to quickly discuss before we actually go to there is I noticed that there are quite a number of people who are in this situation and they're thinking that, okay, think about, look, I missed the boat. I did not start early, just as
Mm,
much as, the law of compound interest, it's I had this quote, I think it was Einstein, I don't know who said it. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who knows it receives it. He who doesn't pays it. So the best time for you to have started this is probably when you've got 20, 30 years to your retirement. How about people who are in their mid 30s, in their 40s, and then they just woke up and they just realized, my God, retirement is not far away. I think those are the kind of a group of people for us to actually have a quick 2, 3 minutes chat about in terms of, so if someone comes to you and says, Coach Casey, look, I'm 45. I have not done that much. I've, wandered around life, but right now I can see that retirement is it's not far away. Where do I start?
exactly. I think the biggest thing when I talked about the assessment part was, and I mentioned it too, you want to be truthful with yourself, number one, to know, okay, hey, I'm not where I need to be. But then also this is where it comes to say, okay, now that I'm not where I want to be, how can I make sure I'm being compassionate to my situation? All right. Because if you beat yourself up and you just stay exactly where you are, it's not going to get any better. So you don't want to just do nothing. But at the same time, you want to say, okay, you want to at least start with something. first of all, you want to make sure you're giving yourself grace for not having information. Because if you knew better, you would do better, but you didn't know better. So that's why you're at where that's why you're doing what you're doing. But I think the biggest thing you want to do is make sure you start with something. It's just like I would think about it just like going to the gym, right? If we're not as healthy as we want to be, and say we're at an age where it's very hard to make those changes, we can at least do something. We can at least change one thing, and then we change another thing, right? So it's starting with those small incremental changes, and then once you start to add those changes, you can do a lot more, and you're a lot farther of you're a lot farther where you are than where you used to be. So I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure we have grace with ourselves, and then making those small incremental changes. Like I said, you can start with, say, even if it's $1 a month, let's start there. Let's make sure we have that consistency. And now we're doing $5, right? And then we're going to $10. And then those things will add up over time. There's a great book that also helps to this as well, as Atomic Habits, because those habits will increase over time.
Thank you so, so much.
Yeah.
I think it's profound. One thing you touch on that a lot of people actually feel like there's this guilt of feeling like, you know what, it's too late now. I'm never going to make it. So let me just continue like
Right.
that. So it happens a
Hmm.
lot whereby you feel, what's the point? I'm 50. I'll retire. There's no way I'm going to catch up. Let me just continue to. And what you're telling us there is, you know what? It doesn't matter when your morning
Yes.
dawns. Whenever your morning dawns is your morning. It doesn't matter how close you are to retirement. It is not completely impossible. You might have to make some lifestyle changes, definitely.
And
There
that's the
might
big
be more
thing.
alacrity about what you're doing. You don't have the luxury of time anymore. So that means you have to prioritize things. When you can afford to probably put 50 down, this time around, you have to sacrifice more for you to be able to, because like it or not, the future is coming. Like it or not,
Right.
no one is coming to save you. I keep telling, when I speak to people, friends, family, clients, I said this, as there is no conspiracy by any government to prosper its people. There is none. You're not, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming
Hmm.
on the horse to
Hmm.
save you. No, it's your destiny. They are in your hands. So if you realize that, okay, I'm starting late, don't let that bother you. Forgive yourself. If you knew better, you do better. So, but the most important thing there is make that decision and commitment.
Right.
Got knowledge. Find coaches you can work with and say, okay, my plan is going to be unique. It's not going to be the generic one because I'm
Right.
starting late. They will be able to now say, okay, you know what? Let's look at the inflow. How can we increase your inflow? How can we reduce your outflow? How can we actually put you on this plan for 3 years to be able to, how do you need to learn a new skill for 6 months that would increase
Hmm.
your inflow over the next 3, 4 years that will make a huge difference to that. So for anyone who is out there who feels, okay, I'm in my 35s, I'm in my 40s, even I'm in my
Right. Right.
50s. It doesn't matter what time you start. The most important thing there is get started. I think, Coach, you've got one question. How do you
Yes.
stay on track when it looks like your investments do not yielded much over time? How do
I
you
love
not
that.
get discouraged? What?
That is a
Please
great
go.
question. Number one, I would say first we're going to make sure you're doing the right investments. And Bloomy, can you let me know? Are you tuning in from here? Where are you tuning in? I want to make sure I'm asking that question.
Booming's in Nigeria, by the
To
looks of things.
Nigeria. Okay. So, and of
Yeah.
course, you can speak to some of the investments there, but one of the biggest things you want to do is continue to make sure you're in the right investments, right? And then, of course, for you to not to be discouraged, one of the things you can do, this is actually, and this is one of the best thing that's been happening, is having communities like this, working with somebody like Coach Mo, right? You're not, it's so much harder to do this alone, just like going to the gym, than when you're doing with another person who's able to give you feedback and let you know, give you encouragement. I'm a big person, on inspiration and having things that you can feed into your mind. And of course, this is where we get to, talking about dieting and your lifestyle, but having things to make sure you're able to think about things in a positive way. Discouragement is not, it's real, but it's also not going to help us. Right. So do whatever you can. Make sure you change your surroundings. Have fun, like this group. This is a financial group. Be around, surrounded by people who are talking about things in a positive way. Okay, this didn't work out, but this is what you can do now, right? And always thinking in a ways of what you can do rather what you can't do. So I think that's a mindset shift. And of course, we can have a conversation about that as well. But discouraging that's very real. I would say the biggest thing is make sure you're surrounding yourself with people and information to keep you inspired and encouraged. That's the biggest thing I can say to that.
Thank you so much, Coach IK. You know, one thing Henry Ford said there is, some people say they can, and some people say they can't. Both of them are right. So it's a matter of, okay, if you think you can, if you think what happens there is it is the energy that you see. The most successful people is not because they're probably anything better than us. They just have this attitude of I can. And every time you have that attitude of you can, number one, your energy is different. Have you seen somebody who feels deflated? That is the energy of somebody who feels they can't. Have you seen someone who is excited? That is the energy of somebody who feels they can. And it might not be like that all the time. But when you find the right company, my favorite book says something. It says, iron sharpeneth iron. Stay within a
Yes.
community of where people actually talk about these things. It's funny that most of us, we will not, when anything is wrong with us, we don't go to YouTube to find the result. No, we go to the doctor. When we have anything that's got to do with any legal problems, we go to the lawyers. But when it comes to our finances, most of us like to self-diagnose, we self-prescribe, and we self want to implement it. How is that going to work?
It's not going to
I
work.
it's not going to work because just look at the number of years you spent in that field. You are a specialist in the field. And every one of us, we are the best at what we do. And most of the time, finance is not what we do. And there's a difference between finance and understanding money. I have seen broke accountants. I have seen broke finance professors, and I have seen successful illiterates. So it's a matter of you understanding the position you are and space still help. Don't always tell people anything that is on free on out there, it's not going to give you the best value. The best
Right.
things in life come at a cost. If you don't pay the price, you will not get the premium. Everything, see, there's a cost to everything. There is a cost to your
Exactly.
time.
Eh,
Quality
eh,
information. Yeah, go ahead, coach.
Yeah, yes, I want to add to that as well, and that's why we call us coaches, right? Or anyone who's going to be in your corner to get you in a way that you're able to think and not focus on discouragement is going to help you get there, right? And that's why you have a coach that says, okay, you can do it, you can do this. One of my clients, she it's already a lifestyle situation, a lifestyle change. She was in horrible debt. She had a credit score that was in the 500s of just really poor credit score. Now she's investing. Now she's going to college. Now she has her savings and she's completely changed her life around, right? And of course, we prayed over these calls. We invite God to work in these conversations. But also for me, one of my gifts is encouraging people, is saying, okay, not only can you do it, but also these are some ways, these are some things you can do to develop these strategies to make it happen. So I think just like we said, as community, I would say invest in either community or someone who's able to speak life into you rather than you thinking about being discouraged. So yeah, love that question.
Thank you very, very much. Most importantly, please just look for Coach IKT on his platform, look for his company, and please book a session to speak to him. See, if somebody is going to give you a knowledge that is going to cost you 10% for you to eventually gain over 100%, who's won eventually? And it's not because you don't, a lawyer could write you a letter that would save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're charging you probably two, 300, dollars an hour, and you think there's no way I'm paying for just a simple letter with $300, but it's you knowing what is the opportunity cost. If you think knowledge is
Right.
expensive, you don't want to know
And
the
coach, I
yeah.
want to make sure, are you guys getting some choppiness? I'm hearing some choppiness in the audio. Is that just me? Let me know. Let me know.
Oh,
It sounds
I'm not getting it. Okay, someone said, oh, we've got more
okay.
question.
Okay.
Is it better now? Hello,
Okay.
can
I'll
you
just put
hear
it
us,
here.
coach? Oh, okay.
I can hear you. Make sure it's not me, but I just heard some choppiness. But if it's me, I'll keep going. So
Oh, okay. We've got a question. What platform
okay.
do you recommend to start investing in global companies? For instance, S&P
Um,
500. Okay.
great. Great question. Great question. So I know for here, and I want to make sure I'm also doing research for our different nations that are chiming into this call. If you're in Nigeria or if you're in the UK, for us in the UK, for us in the US, we use for me I use Chase, JP Morgan Chase. They have a great platform. We can also make sure we're doing research on different platforms inside different countries, Nigeria, UK. But the biggest thing about it, it should not cost. It should we're at a day and age where it shouldn't cost you really that much to make sure you're invested, right? So make sure you're doing your research on there. And Telson, I think that's a question I want to know from you. Are you coming in from Nigeria? I maybe from the US, I'm not sure. But that's the biggest thing. Here in the US, we have JP Morgan Chase, we have Fidelity, a lot of different platforms. But it may also change for Nigeria. There may be some equivalents. For perhaps, Coach, could you
Oh
speak
yeah,
to
there
that? Are there any
is.
ways they can get
There,
invested?
in Nigeria, I'm not making any recommendation. I'm just going to tell you some of the ones I know are great out there. There is one that is just coming out now by Smart Stewards. It's called the WealthSync. WealthSync gives you access to invest, gives you access for pension. It's like the one-stop shop for everything you've got to do with finances. So look that up. It's on Google Store and App Store, WealthSync by Smart Stewards. The other one I know, which is a good one, which I do use as well, is called Bamboo as well. You can use Bamboo as well. Bamboo is a good one. We have Cowrywise. There are quite a number of them you can use. And I don't think problem is not about you finding the right platform because platform is just a channel. The main thing is about you knowing what you're picking. What are you picking from the menu is what matters most. All of them probably they all have the same ETF, they have the same DGG, they have the same S&P 500, they have the same Nasdaq, and they have all of that. So it's you being able to know, are you picking the right one through the right channel? Exactly. Fomito said you have RiceVest. So we do have quite a few. And for those in the UK, I know in the UK you can do free trade, you can do trading 212. And I believe that Robinhood as well just got to the UK. But whatever you do, read the small print. Understand, are they holding it as an IOU or in custodianship for you, or do you own the stocks directly? To me, that's the most important one. With Bamboo, you own your stocks. They just broker, they just the middle people. They dividend everything goes straight to you. Some other platforms they hold that as an IOU for you, whereby the organizations pay to them and they pay to you. So let's say they go into bankruptcy. Whatever happens, but if they go into bankruptcy, your holding is part of the things that they will use to pay off their estates. That is why you've got to be careful whatever platform you go in with. So do your due diligence, do your research, but most importantly, those are the ones in which I know are out there. There are quite a number of them as well, but not because I'm recommending any of them to you. I'm just making the options available to you. I could see Coach is back. Let me bring him back on and
Of course.
let us take what do we have one more question? If we don't, then I'd like Coach to give us, the final words because I'm sure we will be bringing him back. I'll probably maybe we'll
Oh,
bring him
thank you.
for a proper workshop where he will be able to dissect this thing for us properly. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. That'd be great.
Without any question, Coach, do you have your final words for us so that we
No,
don't hold you too long?
of course. And I think that's the biggest thing too. And of course, there's a lot of things I covered, but the biggest thing I want us to do from this time is you can educate yourself. You can always learn one more thing every single day of how you can get there. That knowledge, applied knowledge, I'm sure Coach Mo will also agree with me. Applied knowledge is power. So learn one thing and see how you can apply that information to get to where you want to go. I want to make sure I repeat the VACE method because I think that's going to be a very, very great way, especially as we get to the end of the year to start to plan for next year for 2025. Vision, assessment, strategy, and execution. Develop these 2025 plans right now and also see if you can find someone to hold yourself accountable and develop that community to give you more chance to get there. Last thing I'll say is you go fast alone, but you go farther together.
Thank you so much for that, Coach. And I believe that myself, yourself, and one of our coaches in the UK, we're working together on something
Yes.
sweet,
Ooh,
tantalizing, and amazing. which you don't want to miss, everyone here. I can tell you that for sure. You don't want to miss it. Do you have the flyer there, Coach? Do you have the flyer
I
at
do.
all there? Oh yeah,
Oh,
please let us share the flyer right
oh,
away.
I would have
Oh
to
yeah,
let
I'm,
me
I'm putting
have to
I'm
find it.
putting you on the spot. I know.
Yes, give me let me see if
because
I
you,
can find it here. Wow. Let me see. Actually,
because it's something we're doing together because it's coming towards the end of the year, and most of the time,
yes.
that is when most people start thinking, "Oh my Lord, 2024 is gone, 2025 is coming." It's how do you now prepare yourself towards the end of the year, and how do you wrap up the year in grand style, and how do you prepare for 2025? And we have the
Exactly.
three of us coming together to do that, so you
It's
don't want to
coming.
miss that session here.
I'm gonna present it,
Okay.
but I'll let you keep talking so I can get
Yeah.
it up here,
Okay, so
coach.
you could find it. Yeah. So
Yes,
so
yes.
you see the flyer there. It's going to have the date on it. There'll be more on all our platforms talking about it from tomorrow for you to be a part of it. So please save the date, save the time. You don't want to
Awesome.
miss it. It's going to be live as well. I think we're doing it on IG. I'm not sure which, but it's going to be live. All the coming information will be out there for you to be able to get it.
Right.
I believe it's on the 1st of November, if I'm correct.
1st of November. And what I'll do, I'll
1st
put
of
it inside the
November
chat room. I'll put it
inside the
inside the
chat
chat
room.
room.
Okay.
It's gonna be easy for me to
Okay.
share it there.
So
Okay.
everyone, just like we do every month, thank you very much for tuning in here. This is part to know a great thank you to Coach. Please can we all give him a round of applause, please?
Thank you so
He's
much for
giving
having me.
he's pouring into us. Let's appreciate that. These things are not. It's taking him years of expertise for him to tell us what he's just telling us, like it's just like just rolling over his tongue like that. So thank you. We greatly celebrate you. So
And
also, yeah, go ahead,
here's a
sir.
flyer. Yes, sir. Here's the flyer. We have that inside the chat room right now, but also it'll be you and you funny enough, you were the first people to know about this, right? So we are thinking very big events when it comes to 2025. Global events is going to be one of the first global events we have. Of course, we have Coach Augusta in the UK. Of course, myself here, but I love the excitement there. But this is where we're going. And of course, as we're building this community, we want to see how we can involve you guys in it more. But this is where we're going. We want to make sure we're excited going into the new year.
Absolutely. I've just pinged
There
that
it
on the
is.
screen there for you.
Perfect.
You are the
Awesome.
first
Great.
people you are the first to hear about it. This is
Mm.
he didn't know I was gonna lay it out right now, but if we have
This
you
is
here,
great.
why not just lay it out?
This
So
is great.
this is coming, you don't want to miss it. Save the date, save the time, and it's an amazing session. It's hosted majorly by Coach Ikechi. So myself and Coach Oguemo, we're gonna be there as well. So save the date, save the time. So just like we do every time, everyone, it's always amazing. See, life is all about principles. Your ability to excel in any sphere of life is directly proportional to your knowledge, understanding, and application of the principle that govern that sphere of life. So you want your finances to get better, go and discover the principles and know the principle that governs each area of finances, understand them. Most importantly, just do it, apply them. So from the Parts and Note team, thank you very much, everyone. Let me see. People are still clapping and still saying
Oh,
thank you.
they
So
love
thank you
it.
very much,
They love it.
everyone. So we're gonna say, have a great evening, everyone. Love you all and God bless.
God bless.